I've been hands-on with Cyberpunk 2077's patch 2.0 for some time now, and let me tell you, this is a whole new game. Today I'm going to be breaking down my thoughts on the changes to combat mechanics, perks, improved AI, quick hacking, vehicle combat, and of course, the hotly anticipated police rework. Just how well do these mechanics hold up? We're going to be talking about it in today's video. There's a lot to cover, so let's jump straight in. But just so you know, this video only covers what's in patch 2. I'll have another one on the new Phantom Liberty DLC coming out soon, so make sure you subscribe for that. But now let's break down all the new features in patch 2.0, starting out with the new combat mechanics. You see, combat has dramatically changed in patch 2. This is mostly due to the changes to other systems, like perks and character build overhaul, and also the cyberware, but also thanks to the new and improved enemy AI. You see, enemies are now generally smarter, using the environment around them more effectively to shield themselves from your gunfire and also take advantage of flanking strategies to try and get the best of you in combat. This really transforms each fight's fluidity and pacing. Overall, the combat just feels better. But the most noticeable changes come through in Netrunning. The first thing you'll notice is when you're going into your quick hack menu, you'll see a small yellow label next to some of your hacks that reads traceable. Simply put, now if you use one of these, an enemy netrunner will be able to trace it back to you, revealing your location to his tombs. But watch out, because each netrunner can now also hack you through any cameras or any enemy units that have you in their sights. And the only way to prevent this is by turning the camera off or killing the enemy that they're hacking you through. Enemy netrunners also now have a much wider variety of quick hacks that they can use on you. This really fleshes out the netrunner gameplay. Even if you're not building your own character around it, you still need to be wary of other netrunners coming after you. Now, while speaking of combat, one of the features missing from the original Cyberpunk release has finally found its way into the game, and I am of course talking about vehicle combat. At any point while driving a vehicle, you can now pull out your handgun and start unloading on innocents or not so innocent passers-by. You can also purchase vehicles with their own weapons pre-installed. And while it's a little bit disappointing that your only two options are machine guns or rocket launchers, mods do exist for Cyberpunk 2077. It's got a huge modding scene, so I am sure we will be able to deploy oil spills and even use flamethrowers to set them alight, all from the comfort of our car. Ultimately though, the vehicle customization and combat clearly wasn't developed as a fully fledged gameplay feature here, but my god, does it add some fun options to engage gangs in the NCPD with. It just makes traveling around in a car a lot more exciting and a lot more fun, giving you more gameplay tactics to use while you're on the run from the NCPD. And trust me, you're going to be using them. But just to temper your expectations, beyond the fun combat capabilities that cars now have, it's not integrated into stories or side missions. But when I say that, I'm talking about the base game. We have to remember that this feature was added specifically with Phantom Liberty in mind. So we will cover that in more detail in a future video without spoiling anything yet. This brings me on to one of the biggest changes in patch 2. You see, the leveling system is getting a full top to bottom overhaul, and it really does make leveling up a lot more exciting, and it just feels like it has more impact on your playthrough, making your decisions much more meaningful. For example, one of the early perks you can unlock is vehicle hacking, which gives Netrunner builds some extra options when it comes to vehicle combat. For all you melee specialists though, you've not been forgotten, because the dash and air dash perks are going to become your best friend, allowing you to quickly close the gap and get in close. But I'm really just scratching the surface here. There's a whole new skill progression tree with 5 categories that gain their own experience as you use certain skills. Kind of like the Elder Scrolls Skyrim, the more you use a skill, the more you level it up. And you'll be unlocking extra passive enhancements or more perk points at certain level milestones. So if you focus on getting headshots, you'll improve the Headhunter skill, which gives you more damage for headshots, and it also reduces your visibility to enemies. Great for sneaking about. But the 5 skill progression categories are Headhunter, Netrunner, Shinobi, Solo, and Engineer. Honestly, there's so much more to explore that I genuinely get decision paralysis every time I level up. But at the same time, this is going to allow you to make yourself a playstyle that is unique to you, which massively improves replayability and role-playing potential in Cyberpunk 2077. We'll be doing a more in-depth look at all the different perks and character builds in a future video. But now we're on to the fourth topic, which is cyberware and clothing, because there have been some changes here, though it is less of an overhaul and more of a correction. The system just makes more sense now, and it adheres to its own lore a lot better. Clothing is now just clothing. They're just cosmetics. There's no best armor or outfit anymore. It's just whatever outfit you think looks cool and you want to wear. This has really made the whole wardrobe system obsolete. The only advantage is that you don't need to keep clothing in your inventory in order to wear it. Once you've picked it up once, it will always be available in your wardrobe. You can even sell the items and you still have access to them whenever you like. The only exception with clothing though is when using the plate carriers and the body armor. They're still going to add armor points to your character, similar to before. But generally speaking, your armor is now going to come from cyberware. There's lots of new cyberware to experiment with to make your character and playstyle unique to you. Previously in the original Cyberpunk, I could turn any character build into a walking tank that was unkillable. Now I feel like you're going to be limited by how much cyberware you can have installed depending on the cyberware capacity meter. In terms of gameplay balance, this is actually a lot cleverer of a system. And don't worry, your cyberware capacity can be improved by either leveling up, getting certain perks, or finding capacity shards in the open world. I've only managed to find 1 or 2 on random enemies. So if you want to max out your cyberware, get out there and find some scavs to smoke. A really nice touch to cyberware though that I don't think they've mentioned in the marketing is that you can actually upgrade your individual cyberware parts at Ripper Docks using different components that you pick up around Night City. Upgrade ranks go from tier 1 all the way to tier 5++, and they add passive boost to things like health and aim speed. Lastly, they've actually changed the number of cyberware parts that you can have per body part, with some slots only unlockable with certain perks. For example, you can now have 2 pieces of cyberware in your hands by unlocking the ambidextrous perk. Now for the big one, and to be frank, we needed to talk about everything else before we could get to this one. You see, if you're looking for a GTA style fix of chaos and destruction in Night City, then this is what you've been waiting for. Firstly, and thank goodness, you're now going to notice that police no longer randomly spawn next to you when you commit a crime. In fact, if you only have a 1-star rating, it's likely that the police will just never turn up and won't be that bothered about tracking you down. But as you commit more crimes, things escalate pretty quickly. By the time you get 4 stars, police will be setting up roadblocks and turning up by the dozen in a rather dramatic fashion. They actually use armed police vehicles. They come crashing through the environment and sometimes into you. The whole system is just incredibly fun. The NCPD will be trying to get to the scene as quickly as possible, and once again taking advantage of the previously mentioned new combat AI. And then, once you reach 5 stars, things are going to get pretty serious. You're now going to be against Night City's finest and craziest, MaxTac. An unmistakable siren sounds as the aerial drop ship approaches, signaling to the other NCPD officers that help is on the way. 4 MaxTac officers are going to jump out, a heavy, a sniper, an assault unit, and a netrunner. This is like the wombo combo team, and each one of these can be considered their own mini boss in their own right. But against all 4, plus the ever increasing waves of officers closing in from you from every side, this makes this the ultimate test of your combat skills, and it is just like the penultimate battle experience you can engage in whenever you feel like. Though you really shouldn't attempt it until the later stages of your skill progression. I'll be honest, I don't know what happens when you kill all of them, because it's pretty hard. But I'll tell you one thing, you're going to need some of the new cyberware and weaponry to stand a chance. So if you want to grab all the best new weapons, check out this next video over here. We'll also be updating our Wikipedia page with all the best gear.